I want to introduce you to one of my good friends, Miss Lauren Valentino. I was just thinking about it. Do you remember? I was trying to think. I think I remember our very first time that we met.
I absolutely remember the first time I ever saw you in the
Are you
gym.
going to quiz me on this?
No.
Okay. Then you tell me, because maybe you saw me, or maybe we saw each other at the same time.
I saw you training in the gym.
Okay.
And I can still remember exactly where you were, who you were training with, how short and red your hair was.
Oh, it was a bad hairstyle.
And you know what? Honestly, the thing that actually even made me look at you is how hard you were lifting. I was like, damn, she's going after it. Which is, I mean, let's be honest. When we met back in the era that we met, training at Gold's Gym Racine was the place for everyone to train.
That was
everyone
the
who
Mecca.
was serious about their fitness, and that was taking it somewhere. So we were in a gym full of athletes. It wasn't just like a few girls here and there that lifted hard and heavy. So I remember I was walking through the gym. I was like, damn, she is going after it. So I was like, I want to meet her. I had no
like
idea
the
who you
littlest
were.
person in the gym
You
at that time.
Weren't.
Ugh,
But
everyone was so
it was the
big.
work ethic. It was totally the work ethic. So I had no idea who you were. I mean, I pretty much knew everyone in the gym. So I had no idea who you were, but I was like, I wonder if she's just visiting because it was summertime. It was summertime, right?
No.
Like fall?
Fall.
Okay, it was fall.
Thanksgiving.
So I didn't know if you were visiting or if you were like new to town or what the deal was. So I was like, it's interesting.
Well, I totally knew. I got told who you were.
As you should have.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
And so, and you had the same routine back when we had like some discipline. Like you were in there at the same time, but you had boys at home that you were getting off to school. So like that was
what
your
year
time.
was that?
2012.
Yes. Yes. So both of my kids were born.
Yeah. So you had a time limit that you had to get back home to get them ready and that kind of stuff. So you did the exact same like routine every day. So
like 5 a.m.
Yeah. 5 a.m. And you were on the treadmill, which I was usually on the treadmill or the stair mill at that time because you would do 10 to 20 minute cardio and then go lift, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, so I purposely there was a treadmill open next to you one time and you were on the other side of the treadmill.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this conversation, but you were actually moving. You were living in the beach house and you were moving to your new house.
Yep.
And so you were in the transition and you told me that like, you're like, I'm just feeding the kids, whatever, like Oreos these days, because like, we're just in this huge transition and like, we don't have anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, Laura Valentino's eating Oreos. Not you, you weren't eating Oreos, but you're feeding the kids Oreos.
Yeah, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
Was miserable about it.
And then I can't remember how it went after that. Did you come into the cafe or did we meet at a show? I think we met. I think I competed in states and you were one of the judges, obviously.
Yes. And
then you came into the cafe afterwards.
And then I came into the cafe and you kind of threw me off guard because you were like, hey, let's train together. And I didn't train with anyone ever. Like I had tried that before. It didn't work. And I was like, okay, I'll just tell this girl yes for once. Like we'll just do once.
Sympathy, yes.
Yes, pretty much. And it was game on. Like you kept up with me. You actually moved as fast, if not faster than me. No talking. You had me at no talking. There was no talking. There was no messing around. And I was like, damn, she's locked in. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So it was never even a discussion again after we trained the first time together. And we trained how many years together?
I want to say it was 3. I was just sitting there trying to calculate it.
No.
When did you turn pro?
I turned pro, but you trained with me through my pro shows as well.
Yeah.
So I think we had 7 years running, Yvonne.
Okay.
So that was 2012 when we trained together.
No, it was, so I just had moved here and I didn't compete. When's the state show?
So 2013.
2013.
So it's 2013 because that's also when I moved into the other house. So 2013. And then from that to the end of my pro shows was like 5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and then we took a little break.
in the morning.
Yeah. 5:30 to 6:30. And we were in and out, cardio and all of it.
Yeah.
In and out. All right. Tell me, You have such a fascinating childhood because I kind of envied it a little bit because your dad gave you a broomstick.
Yeah, so my childhood was really interesting. So from the outside looking in, you would think that, I mean, that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and to some degree, to the outsiders looking in, I was the doctor's daughter. You know, we had a lot growing up, but my my mom and dad are 20 years apart. My dad right now is in his late 80s, so he was very old when he had me. I'm the baby of 5. From the outside looking in, it looked perfect, and it was not perfect. It was anything but perfect, on the inside. However, we were conditioned pretty early on to make sure that we translated that it was perfect. Um, I'm so grateful for my dad. I mean, when I think about some of the most profound life lessons and who I am today, it's because of him. Um, He's what I like to call old man strong. Like, if
Yeah.
it needed to be done, it got done. Sun did not set on a day with items incomplete. If it needed to get moved, it got moved. Whether or not you were strong enough to do it, it got done. Um, his unbreakable mindset, he passed on to definitely me. I would love to say all of his children, but I don't know about that. But definitely me. I think I got the best of my dad because he was older, calmer, more settled in his career when I was a child. But I remember, so my dad had always strength trained. Um, and I grew up with a gym. You know, we had a gym separate from our house on our property. And I remember I would just love to go out there and watch him lift because I just thought it was amazing that he could move the weight that he could move. And when I was 5 years old, I was like, Dad, I just want to do it with you. Like, just let me do something. And I remember he stopped middle of his workout. He went in the back shed. He got a broomstick that was a perfectly good broomstick. And if you know anybody who is in that era, you wasted nothing, right? Like, you didn't destroy something that was perfectly fine to make something else of it, right?
Right.
So, but I remember him throwing it across his wood saw bench and cutting it in half and like shaving it down so that it didn't give me like splinters. And he made me a bench press bar out of a broomstick that he cut in half. And that's when I started strength training with him. So every day he would get home from work, he'd pull his truck into the garage. He wouldn't even go into the house. It was straight to the gym. And I would make sure that I was done with my homework in time to meet him out there. And it didn't matter. Half the time he mostly ignored me,
Right.
but I was just happy to be there and watch.
Was your mom and him divorced at this time? Or
They should have
they
been, but
should
they
have
were
been.
not
They were
yet.
not. Okay. Yeah.
It was coming. It was on its way.
Yeah, they always kind of waited
Yeah.
longer than what they should
Sure.
have sometimes.
Yeah.
Got that.
Yeah.
Do you think growing up in that, like, do you resent that at all at now, or did you? I mean,
Absolutely not.
what kind of kid did that put you in school though?
Not normal.
Right.
No, not normal at all. Not even close. And not only that, but like the nutrition aspect with my parents both being, I mean, my dad was a chiropractor and, you know, really understood the value of nutrition, the value of moving your body, strength training. It it resonated so much with me. It just made sense. I remember the first time going over to friends' houses for sleepovers. We never had Chips Ahoy or
Right.
Oreos or nothing. I didn't even get to bring my homemade birthday cake home from my grandmother's house. Like it never came in our home. So everything that we ate was whole foods, home cooked. It was the value of nutrition and understanding from an early age that the quality of what you feed yourself is the quality of your output.
Okay.
And no, I never resented it. I actually kind of felt like I had an edge on everyone. Now, listen, I graduated high school very early. I was a super smart kid. I went off to college. I was broke. My parents handed me nothing because they both worked for everything that they had. Um, I was very broke. So I lived on like oodles and noodles and Coca-Cola. for like a
So
whole year.
how does that
It
even
was kind of
translate?
that
You go
rebellious
from
side. No, it was
yeah,
that rebellious side of like, having your nutrition being so pristine forever. And I was like, it occurred to me I could go to the grocery store and buy cookies.
right.
Like I was like,
So did you
what?
go the opposite at that
I
point?
did for like a maybe 6 to 8 months. And then I remember one day like waking up feeling terrible. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, whoa.
Right.
This
You went
is
from
like
eating broccoli and
I
chicken
actually just
to
didn't understand because when I went to my first degree was in medical massage therapy. So, you're learning about the body, you're learning about the energy system, the tissues, the translation of, just cellular function. And I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, what is this texture of my body?
yeah.
Like, what is this? And it just made sense. Everything that I already knew, I was like, okay, I'll straighten up now.
So I was gonna say, what is your rebellion in life?
That was it.
That was
That and smoking cigarettes in high school because my mom, that was like a big deal for her. Just like it was
you went
definitely
way.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was definitely something that I mean, she struggled with tobacco and that was very hidden because, it's not the white picket fence version of things, right? And I remember one day she sat there with a cigarette in her hand telling us we better never smoke. And I was like, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
hypocrite. So yeah, I was like, at that age, you're just trying to do
You're exploring.
everything I mean, it really wasn't that. I just wanted to make her mad.
That
It
too.
was just
Okay.
that.
All right.
It was just that. Um, but yeah, that was a season for sure.
So you graduate high school early.
Yeah.
You're off to college.
Yeah.
Did you always know what you were going to be?
So I actually wanted to go into plastic surgery. I wanted to
Okay.
be a plastic surgeon. And it's because I was such an accident prone child. I broke like I think at this point in my life I have broken like 27 bones in my body. I say hell yes to everything and I should not. Clearly. I'm not coordinated. I'm not like I'm strong but I'm not athletic.
Right.
And so, yeah, I should have never done half the things that I did ever. And, I went hard and broke things hard.
All right.
So, but I remember I cut the back of my leg open. I had 387 stitches on like my hamstring was hanging out of my leg. I rollerbladed home. And I remember the surgeon that I went to that stitched me up and he was just awesome. He like made it okay. He like calmed my mom down. He made me laugh. And I was like, man, this is really cool. And I like watched him sew up my leg, which I was fascinated by. He's like, you're not really that normal because I was like, he had to fix my hamstring and then sew my leg up. And I had a horseback riding camp in Long Island already planned. And I was like, I'm not missing it. And my mom's like, you can't go because it was right where the saddle hits your leg. And I was like, I'm going. So I went to Long Island. I ripped my leg back open and had to come back and have another surgery to get it fixed. And I was just like, man, this is cool. Like plastic surgery is cool. And then my dad had some friends that were plastic surgeons. When I shadowed them, I was really turned off by how cosmetic all of plastic surgery was. I really love trauma plastic surgery. And so I just did a pivot and I I when I graduated high school, my mom was just diagnosed with breast cancer for the first time. And she was a medical massage therapist. I loved what she did. And actually, I was just into working and making money. And so I went after what I loved, but I was like, I don't want to spend 12 years in school right now. I want to get out and make money. And then I'll go back to school, which is definitely what I did. But I did, I finished the program that I was in half the time that they tell you that it takes to finish it. I got out, graduated, top of my class with honor, blah, blah, blah. School I'm good at. And so I got back home and went to help my mom, who was extremely stoic. She did not tell us she had breast cancer until, the whole side of her body was like exposed with burnt skin from radiation. And she needed help and she would have never asked for it. So I went back home to help her with her practice and fell in love with it and stayed in that profession for years. And yeah, really, I mean, the healing power of hands-on touch. And of course, I learned, I mean, I think I have like 29 subset degrees of different modalities, everything from craniosacral to myofascial release to myokinesthetics and reflexology. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm into something, I will continue to learn it.
No, but you totally. I think that's one thing that I really do admire you is like when you do find something that you're passionate about,
I'm all in.
it's all in and it's like learn it until you're smarter than the person
Everyone.
who invented it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I
have a
think that's super.
thirsty brain.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't even know that. That's how you got into massage school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 So I went back and I never thought that I would leave that profession, but I moved to Wilmington and I had built my practice from the ground up. And when I left Burlington, I owned my own practice I was way ahead, way ahead. So I was 22, owned my own practice and had been crushing it for years. And I got here and I was like, I don't want to start back over. Like I had at that time, several therapists in my office working under me. And I was like, God, I just don't want to start over. So I went back to school. I went back to school and went to nursing school. And I had finished I got my bachelor's degree in biology while I was practicing as a massage therapist. And so I was able to transfer all the credits and I was just like, okay, and at that point I was headed into anesthesia. Like that's what I wanted to kind of end up doing. And I got pregnant with Vincent.
Okay.
Like as I was accepted into, nursing school.
And how old were you at that time?
25.
Okay. So 25.
Yep.
Obviously, you're married at this time.
Yep.
Baby on the way.
Yep.
Now what?
Okay, so I never really
Were you competing with you were
Yes, girl.
Okay, you were
I
competing.
started so I had already won like 8 overall titles at that time.
Okay.
And was competing on a national level and
That's right. That's
yes.
how you met your husband.
That's yes.
Mike.
And so yes, I was and I never wanted to be a mom. That did not resonate with me. That wasn't, I feel like we're all born with fibers of, our soul being really good at what our path is supposed to be. Being a mom was not anything that ever made my roster of like checklist in life.
Which that's huge for a female to say.
Yeah, it was not there. It was not. I am not naturally maternal. At all. Did I say that enough?
You did.
Okay. But being a mother is the best thing that I've ever done with my life. And so when I held Vincent for the first time, I got it. Like I got it. And just like everything else that I do, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it really freaking well. And I did. It was the hardest transition of anything that I've ever done, ever. Because I was doing it well. I mean, I should have just handed him an iPad and went and took a nap, but
it's the first one. It's okay.
I mean,
you dive head in on it.
I did it right.
Yeah.
I mean, like if I will give myself credit for anything I've ever done, I did that right. And Vincent is still, he's such an exceptional human being. Like he's just awesome. And if anybody meets him, they would say that. Victor is too, but Vincent was just he was just born different.
Well, you have a special connection with him too.
I have a special connection with both of them.
Well, I was talking about because he was diagnosed.
Okay, so both of my kids gave me a run for my money. When Vincent was 3 years old, we took him into a well check. And the doctor continued to like circle back to his abdomen. There were a few incidences with Vincent because he is so And maybe that's why I say that about him. He is the most like me out of the two of my children. Um, he's very vocal, he's very personable, he's very outspoken. And there were a few incidences recently before his well check that I got real concerned about because he had these outbursts that were not terrible twos. They did not make sense. Um, and I handled them very poorly. I handled them with discipline, and really what he was experiencing, I later, would find out that he had a grapefruit sized tumor in his abdomen that was pressing on an adrenal gland. So his outbursts were excessive. Like, I actually had a moment where I was like, I wonder if my child has neurological problems. He just went insane. Like, it was always a cue, something that would have upset a
Right.
child, but it was like inflamed to a degree that was not normal. And so we took him in for a well check, and our pediatrician just kind of kept circling back to this place on his abdomen, palpating it. And we were so fortunate because our pediatrician really took time, not just like, oh, okay, he's good, sending you, yep, he's eating great, awesome, see you next year. He really took time to like check your child. And he's like, I keep circling back. He asked me about his digestion and stuff. I was like, he's great. And I was so proud of the fact. I mean, I was pureeing their organic baby food as a
Right.
nutritionist, right? Like, I was going above and beyond with everything. He had never been sick. He had never had an ear infection, never had an antibiotic at 3 years old. And I was like absurdly proud of that, like ridiculous, which is not a badge of honor. It was just something I could sink my teeth into. But I remember he's like, there's just this hard place in his abdomen. He's like, I'm just going to send you for a scan tomorrow. I was so not concerned because he had been so healthy. I got a call walking into the gym, and it was middle of the day, and the lady goes, hi, this is, Sarah. I just wanted to give you a call and let you know the UNC Chapel Hill oncology team is waiting for you. And I was like, you have the wrong number. She goes, are you Vincent Valentino's mom? And at that moment, like, I fell apart. And I
Yeah.
was like, yes. She's like, did your child have a scan this morning? And I was like, yes. She goes, he has a mass in his abdomen. You need to go pack your bags immediately and get to UNC Chapel Hill with him. And I just remember I was like, pack my bags for how long? She said a month.
Oh
And
shoot.
that's when I knew what we were facing. And my whole world fell apart, like in that moment. And it was the weirdest thing because, at that, we were extremely financially blessed. We were um we had it all. And I remember in that moment, although this was not something that I was out of touch with my entire life path of living in health and wellness, but I remember at that moment thinking, wait a second, we have resources, we know people, we have an edge. It was just this like innate, very human thing in me. And I was like, you know what? It does not matter. It doesn't matter. And you very quickly realize that if in your day, if you're healthy, you have 1,000 wishes, you have 1,000 wants. In the moment that you're looking at your life and your health and wellness and the question of whether or not you will survive, you have one fucking wish, and that's it. And nothing else matters. And especially when it's your child, I mean, you hit your knees. I mean, I grew up in a Christian household as a Christian. I've spent, I have a close relationship with God, but I prayed in the way that I have never prayed before. When you're praying over your 3-year-old as to whether or not they will see a fifth birthday, whether or not they're going to make it to kindergarten, whether or not they're going to graduate high school, whether or not you're going to be able to parent them until, they are older in age, in that moment, your whole life changes. And, at that time, I was actually prepping for a competition. Victor had been born, and Victor's a whole other story. He wasn't supposed to make it. His name is Victor because being victorious of even making it here was his whole, I mean, he wasn't supposed to make it. So we had already faced that challenge, which was, 5.5 months of bed rest. They thought he was Down syndrome. I mean, we had the world stacked against us with him. I finally was able to breathe. Like, it had just arrived at that point where I was like, oh, thank God I survived that, made it past. I mean, he was clubfoot when he was born. That's where my medical massage therapy background, like, I was able to do his rehab therapy on his feet and on his legs, and which was amazing to be able to have that skill to do that for him. And life had just kind of calmed. And then we got this news about Vincent. And so we were at UNC Chapel Hill for 16 days. He had a rare form of cancer called neuroblastoma. There's only 700 cases a year diagnosed in the US. And they anticipated, because of the size of his tumor, that he would have 3 to 4 years of chemo and radiation if he made it. And they were very, very honest about that. And I remember sitting with our pediatric oncologist, and I was like, I don't think you understand the effort that has gone into this child's health. And he just like sat with me, and he was so compassionate and so wonderful. And I knew in praying over him while we were there in the hospital, there's been a few times in my life that God has spoken to me, and I knew, I had a knowing. And I remember very early on, I was on my knees at his bed, and I remember just having a knowing from the Holy Spirit, like, we got this. This is part of his path. This is part of his purpose. This will be used. And from that moment, the rest of the time he was in the hospital, I did not get upset about anything. I knew, like I know my name, that he was going to be okay. But I remember a young resident meeting me in the hall. After they resected his tumor, he was under for 12 hours. They put a Broviac power port into his heart. I remember them telling me about the ways that they were going to chop him up. And that messed me up, like, as a mother, knowing that your child's about to come out with all of these scars and have all of these tubes and all of this intervention. And I was so blessed. I had a girlfriend at the time that she just leaned forward. She drove up to see me and spend some time with me. And I was so upset about that. Like, I couldn't even say the words without just choking and crying. And she looked at me, and she didn't even blink. She did not even blink. She goes, girl, he's going to tell his girlfriend one day about all those scars. She goes, all girls think those scars are sexy. And it was just not your normal response. And I just resonated with it. I was like, you know what? That's cool. Okay. All right, fine. So anyway,
so we're going to hold
yeah,
right there for part 2.
Oh, did I talk the whole time? That's a long story.
So still hit with your socials.
Okay.
They can find you. And then make sure you hit them with like hey, to hear how the story ends, get ready to tune in for part 2 coming soon.
Okay. All right. So you're going to have to stick with us to see how this story ends. Lauren, how do they get a hold of you or follow you?
Okay. So my Instagram is Lauren M. Valentino, and Lauren Valentino on Facebook.
And you can catch me both on Facebook and Instagram at Yvonne Verity.
And we're going to be back for a part 2.
Part 2, Rebel Roots. Stay with us.
We'll see you there.
And if you need a vacation after your last experience, go ahead and visit us at our venue.
And if you want to take your kids somewhere on a great family vacation, visit us at vmvfarms.com.